the section of the Mishnah Torah.
We're on, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to see if you're interested in reading sections of the last two chapters of the Mishnah Torah in Melachim u Milchamot, Kings and Wars, because it's all about Mashiach. Like this is, if people wanted to know what is it Mashiach, what does the Jewish religion say is the Mashiach, and what is the Mashiach supposed to accomplish in order to be called the Mashiach?
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't accomplish the following is not accepted as Mashiach. So that should answer a lot of questions to people wondering, people from certain other religions.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to do that now or later.
I mean, we're talking about 36 Tzadikim, so I guess
I have some material on that. I got a special book. I invest in this show, Greg. Okay, you should understand.
Wonderful.
I invested in it.
I do want to say something very, very quickly. It's not going to be necessarily negative, but it's just an observation.
Okay.
I think that there is a big chasm between people who are in the Jewish world today and these 36 Tzadikim who roam the earth. That's all I'm going to say. And I think that, and what I don't understand is how come these 36 Tzadikim have not revealed themselves and come to the forefront to advise Klal Yisrael on really what to do.
Well, because
in this situation,
as far as I understand, they're function as 36 secret tzaddikim. They have to be secret.
What happens if they become unsecret?
So they are immediately, whoever becomes unsecret is immediately replaced by a secret tzaddik. Okay. So I think the idea behind them is that you have 36 humble people who live entirely in, I'm not going to say in the shadows, but not famous, no benefit whatsoever, purely humble, just doing God's will completely in secret for no, so they won't get any respect.
Yeah.
Because a holy person, after a while, you help a lot of people, all of a sudden you become respected as a leader. That respect itself has a little bit of possible selfishness.
So here's my caveat to that. They don't necessarily have to come out and be in that capacity, but in this particular situation where Klal Yisrael clearly, and I saw this today on full display, and you know what I'm talking about, is in such a gullus and has been sucked into just, I guess in this case it's like a media vortex and like just, they're not able to think clearly, they're not able to think in with nuance and in the abstract, and this is not even stuff that's not necessarily even that abstract, right? They're not even able to take information that flies in the face of the confirmation bias, that they have. So in that case, wouldn't even one of these guys come out, one of these 36, and just say, listen guys, okay, look, here's really the MS of what's going on.
I'll explain why, because without each one of these 36, there would be no existence. There would be no universe. So basically, the entire universe, the operating system of existence itself, is founded upon the merit of these 36. So the job that they do is good enough. They essentially keep existence going. Aside from that, how much more do you want from these guys?
Existence in this highly broken. You mean existence in this highly broken state? That's basically the story.
God's creation, the Bria, right? Whatever it is that God created, that whole thing, the whole everything, it only exists if there's a minimum of these 36. Like if there's less than 36 of these righteous people who are completely in secret, who live their life only for God, and not a shred of anything, of respect, honor, position, recognition, none of that can go anywhere near them. it is toxic. It is absolute poison
Yeah.
to a tzaddik, and it's very painful to be in a position like that, because a tzaddik, what does a tzaddik do? He wants to bring attention to God, right? Anything that interferes with that, including himself, is very painful. Because remember, this is like, it's hard for me to relate to a person like this, but they love God so much, and they only care about God's will, that, that anything that would, seem to interfere or come between that would be like the most devastating thing to them. Like you know what I mean? Like they're almost like, I don't want to live anymore, that kind of thing. There are people like this. I mean, eventually, and they don't have to be forced. It's not like they got themselves into this mindset. They didn't brainwash themselves into being a servant of God. This is a natural reaction, an organic reaction, a feeling that they have because of their experience with God, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. Like if you read the Psalms of David, how much he loves God. Like why? I don't know. He must have had, from the outside, it looks like his freaking childhood was awful.
Yeah.
Right? Rejected. They hoped that he would be, they sent him out to the wilderness. Hopefully he'll be mauled by some wild animal and get out of their hair. You know what I mean? And how does a person like that be filled with so much love? And I don't know. So obviously these people have some level of revelation of God. Something like, I don't know what kind of it is. I know the angels are really awestruck by God. God presents himself to the angels in some way, in some sort of vision, some sort of spiritual experience that they have. Okay. And which they're all in love with him somehow. Okay. And so the tzaddikim, I would assume, have experienced something that, earth shattering. I shouldn't use that word, but that moving, right? Like that they were like, whoa, you know what I mean? So you have these 36 who only care to serve God, and you have to have a minimum of these. I don't know why 36, but you have to have a minimum of these 36 in order to keep the world going. Meaning, like if there was nothing but these 36, like if these 36 were the last tzadikim in the universe, then the world could exist.
Yeah.
But if without them, I think it turns into, it immediately is voided. Its existence is nullified.
Yeah.
So with no fanfare, it just kind of like disappears. It's not like there's tremendous earthquakes and dramatic events. No, it's no more. It's like just nothing but God as it is now, except that there's no more illusion of a separate universe. Which sounds like a good thing, but it's not. Because God is he wants this illusion to continue, because it represents a truth of what he wants. You understand? There's a level of truth about what's deeper, the fact that nothing really exists besides God, or the fact that God wants this type of existence to continue. Something about what I mean to say is that God wants beings to have a relationship with. And in order to do that, those beings have to have a sense of themselves to some extent. Right? He wants another to share with. So Ein Od Milvado is one level of reality. It's the deepest. But perhaps there's even a slightly deeper level of reality, which is that even though there is nothing but God, God wants this illusion to continue. So like, what's more important? It's what he wants, basically. That's what's more important. Okay? So you have people like this who only care about that. And there's a minimum of 36 of them for the world to exist. Thank God there's usually more, but that's stuff that I've heard regarding the 36. So should I read the
Please,
Rambam?
please do that.
Okay, so this is what Judaism says and expects, has always expected from a Mashiach. This is what Mashiach has to accomplish in order to be called Mashiach. Okay, in the future, the Messianic king will arise and renew the Davidic dynasty, restoring it to its initial sovereignty. Okay, he will build the temple and he gathered the dispersed of Israel. Okay, so right then and there, those three things are an absolute must. Those are the signature Mashiach accomplishments. Okay, now, then in his days, the observance of all the statutes will return to their previous state, meaning we will offer sacrifices, we will observe the sabbaticals and the Jubilee years, the Shemitah and the Yovel, according to all their particulars as described in the Torah. So he continues to say, anyone who does not believe in him or does not await his coming denies not only the statements of the other prophets, but those of the Torah and Moses, our teacher. Because the Torah testifies to the coming of Mashiach. There's a pasuk here that he's quoting. It's Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 3-5. It says, God will bring back your captivity and have mercy upon you. He will again gather you from among the nations. Even if, and it continues, and then, so even if your diaspora is at the ends of the heavens, I thought that's interesting. God will gather you up from there and bring you to the land. Why would we be at the ends of the heavens? I mean, God is not in the habit of using flowery language. Interesting. Tic tacs. Okay, moving on. These explicit words of the Torah include all the statements made by all the prophets. Okay, these words that we just read. So again, that's the book of Devarim, or in English, Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 3-5. Now, so reference to Mashiach is also made in the portion of Bilam, who prophesies about two anointed kings. The first anointed king, David, who saved Israel from her oppressors, and then the final anointed king, who will arise from his descendants and save Israel in the end of days. Okay, so that passage is in the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 24, verse 17-18. It says, this is Bilam's prophecy. I see it, but not now. This refers to David. And then I perceive it, but not in the near future. Okay, so this refers to the Messianic king. And then it says, a star shall go forth from Jacob. This refers to David. Okay. And then it says, and the staff shall arise in Israel. So this refers to the Messianic king. Continues, crushing all of Moab's princes, the nation of Moab, right? The princes of the nation of Moab. So this refers to David, as it says in the second book of Samuel, in chapter 8, verse 2. It says, quote, he smote Moab and measured them with a line, decimating all of Seth's descendants. Okay. This refers to the Messianic king about whom Zechariah, chapter 9, verses 10 prophesies. It says, he will rule from sea to sea. And then it continues, Edom, which is Rome, or actually the Western world, says Edom will be demolished. Now this refers to David, as in the second book of Samuel, chapter 8, verse 6, it states, Edom became the servants of David. This is during the time of David. Okay.
Can you pause for 1 second? I have to get my charger from the other room for this computer. I don't want this podcast to croak.
Yeah.
1 second, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Sir?
Okay.
Yes, continue.
Okay, so now the final verse in this little section that he gives, that he's referencing, is, it says, and Seir will be destroyed. This refers to the Messianic king, as it says in Obadiah chapter 1 verse 21, where he says, saviors will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Asa. Okay, so he goes on to say, it's very interesting. He says, with regard to the cities of refuge, right? The cities of refuge are discussed in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verses 8 through 9, where it says, when God will expand your borders, you must add 3 more cities. Okay, so this command was never fulfilled. Surely God did not give this command in vain. So we have no record of it ever, of this command ever fulfilling. So what he's trying to say here is that there are mitzvot that were commanded by God, which had never had the opportunity yet to fulfill it. So he must have intended that they will be fulfilled at a future time when all the mitzvahs will be able to finally be fulfilled. Okay? We've never passed the era of the mitzvahs, because there are some that still haven't been fulfilled. Okay, so we're still within that state. Okay. So anyway, so he says there's no need to cite proofs from works of the prophets, for all their books are filled with mention of this matter. Anyway, so one should not, this is very important. One should not presume that the Messianic king must work miracles and wonders. I'll repeat that. One should not presume that the Messianic king must work miracles and wonders. You should not presume that he has to bring about new phenomena in the world, or we shouldn't assume that he has to resurrect the dead or other such deeds. This is definitely not true. So what he means is, it doesn't prevent the Mashiach from doing that, but he doesn't have to. It's not a requirement. Okay? So the Mashiach, the true Mashiach, does not have to be a supernatural figure. Okay, we're talking about a mortal, living, breathing human being, physical human being. Doesn't have to be a miracle worker. The fact that he is a secondary thing. Greg, you with me? Greg.
Yes, I'm listening.
I put you to sleep during the day now.
No, I'm asleep. What are you talking about?
You have gone to sleep.
No, I have not. I'm here.
Okay, so proof can be brought from the fact that Rabbi Akiva, one of the greater sages of the Mishnah, was one of the supporters of King Bar Kokhba.
Yeah.
And he would describe him as the Messianic king. He and all the sages of his generation considered him to be the Messianic king until he was killed, of course, because of his sins. He was killed because of his sins. Once he was killed, they realized that he was not the Mashiach. So the sages did not ask him for any signs or wonders. So he's just saying that since Rabbi Akiva and all the primary sages of that time had no problem considering Bar Kokhba to be Mashiach, and Bar Kokhba had not performed any miracles.
Yeah.
Okay? So anyway, so he was a potential Mashiach. They saw in him the characteristics of a Mashiach, and he had success in ways that Mashiach is supposed to have success in until of course he was killed. Okay. Let's see.
I'm just curious, like, what were the characteristics that they saw in him at the
Um,
time.
I have a feeling that Rambam was going to discuss it coming up.
Okay. I mean, he didn't do what Mashiach doesn't do Tesa Mason, right?
No. First of all, God does. He is amazing.
God, what
But
is Mashiach? I mean, Mashiach has.
Mashiach has to get, so Mashiach has to have characteristics.
Okay.
I think he's gonna mention it.
I mean, he was just a bit like, listen, if you look at, I guess what Josephus wrote about it, if you look at him, it was just a guy who was leading a revolt against Rome. Okay. But what else was there? Okay, the guy's a military general.
No. So I think that he's going to go over what the
Okay.
characteristics are in terms of their physical, in terms of their character.
It's something that I never, sorry for asking, because it's something that, I keep hearing, I heard this in yeshiva, I keep hearing it in shiurim, and I never heard once a person actually go into what it is that Akiva saw. Specifically, they just said, oh, he thought he was going to be Mashiach, and then he ended up they called him Bar Kosiba, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because he failed. I'm like, okay, he failed. He failed in a military campaign against the greatest empire ever, but okay, but what else was there that made you think that he's Mashiach? Did he give some kind of shiurim? Did he give some kind of Torah? Did he amalgamate the whole Jewish world? Did this? Like, what did he do?
I hear the question.
Yeah.
So I got you. And also, it's weird to say sorry for asking. No, I mean, that's what we're doing here. So,
No, I'm asking it in the way that I'm asking. I just want other people to feel comfortable to ask that same question, of their rabbi, because I feel like people don't. I never heard anyone else ask. Like, I never heard people in public ask that. I never heard anybody, so to speak, raise their voice and be like, "Can you go into it?" So that's why I'm doing it.
I think he's going to say something about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the main thrust of this matter is that this Torah, its statutes and its laws are everlasting. Okay, and we may not add to them or detract from them. Okay. Okay, so here's number 4, paragraph 4, section 4. If a king will arise from the house of David, who diligently contemplates the Torah and observes its mitzvot as prescribed by the written and the oral law, as David, his ancestor, did, right? And he will compel all of Israel to walk in the ways of Torah, and he will rectify the breaches in its observance, and he will fight the wars of God. We may, with assurance, consider him Mashiach. That's what Bar Kokhba was doing in his time. Okay, he was a tzaddik. He was a scholar. He was a careful observer of the commandments. He was a descendant of King David directly. Okay, he really did inspire people to do mitzvot. In some ways, he kind of like put the fear of God into them. He was sort of he was a strict kind of guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't like, he wasn't pussyfooting around. He was like, he inspired that kind of respect, where people were a little bit, it wasn't so easy for them when he was around to not keep the Torah. You know what I mean? I think we all know people like that. You know what I mean? Like, just by personality, you don't want to be caught not doing something right next to one of these people. I think he was one of those guys, and everybody felt that way about it. Okay. So I'll just repeat that again. Here's the characteristics. If a king will arise from the house of David, that means father, from the father's side. Okay. He has to be a paternal descendant of King David. Okay. If a king will arise from the house of David, who diligently contemplates the Torah and observes its commandments, its mitzvot, as prescribed by the written and the oral law, as David did, his ancestor. Okay, and he will compel all of Israel to walk in the way of the Torah, and he will rectify the breaches in its observance. Okay, and he will fight the wars of God. We may, with assurance, consider him Mashiach. So you see, this is a spiritual and military leader who functions according to the rules of nature, and just by his personality and by his efforts within the boundaries of nature, if he accomplishes these things that we just described, okay, and also the following here. Hold on. So far, the qualities that we just described, meaning king from the house of David, he's if not the best Torah scholar, among the best Torah scholars, absolutely perfect in his observance in Mitzvot as possible by a mortal man, okay, and his ancestor, and just like his ancestor David, and he will compel all of Israel to walk in the ways of Torah, and he will rectify the breaches, the places where people are lax, the places where people are ignorant about. He makes sure he educates them. Like, for instance, like I'm learning the laws of Shabbat with my wife, because after the we did the Igros HaKodesh, the Rebbe, and it said that you got to learn the laws of Shabbat. So we took that personally. Yeah. And there's so much stuff I didn't know. Like, I'm shocked. Like we were breaking. Sure. That's the kind of stuff that he was rectifying. He was.
We a lot of. I feel like most people, from people, don't keep Shabbat fully. I hate to say this and sound so inflammatory. I feel like they don't even realize that they're. Yeah, they don't. They may not Shabbat half the time. Right.
So that kind of stuff. So if he educates people in that way, so we can. He is the assumed Mashiach. He now has the status of assumed. We can confidently say that this is the person who is Mashiach, because he does all those things, and also he fights the wars of God. Okay, which is an interesting way of phrasing it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it says we may with assurance consider him Mashiach. Yeah. So that's presumed Mashiach. Okay. Now, if he succeeds in the above, everything we just talked about, but also builds the temple in its place and gathers the dispersed of Israel, he is definitely the Mashiach. That's definitely Mashiach. Okay? So, okay. Now, and all these things are also kind of, can be done by natural means, right? You can inspire or create a situation where all the Jews go to Israel, okay? He can build a temple, right? We know how to build it, okay? Or, there are some opinions that I think are interesting where you don't have to build the whole temple. So we have a tradition that the temple is already completed. It just has to be, it has to be lowered down from heaven. But you can build the platform for it. You can build its gates. You can build the base for it to land on. So that would be considered building the temple. Okay? So actually it says builds the temple in its place, which is interesting. Why is that? It's not necessary to say that. If he succeeds, so basically, again, the Rambam says if he succeeds in the above, all that stuff where he's the presumed Mashiach, but he also builds the temple in its place. Like, he could have just left build the temple and it's understood, right? So builds the temple in its place, because the Rambam is very exacting in his words. He's not flowery. Okay. You hear me, Greg?
Yes, I'm listening.
So that's why it makes sense that, it's possible that we have to just build the platform or the base, okay. And then he also has to gather the dispersed of Israel. Okay. That's technically possible. Then he's definitely Mashiach. Okay. So then it says, what does he do? What does he do? What is Mashiach? Why do we need this guy? Okay. It says he will then improve the entire world, motivating all the nations to serve God together, as it says in Zephaniah. I guess that's Zephaniah in English. So I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm just. I'm not. I forgot how.
Hold on. It's Zephaniah is. It's funny. Zephaniah. Oh my goodness. I'm just curious myself.
Okay.
Yeah, Zephaniah is
Zephaniah.
Yeah, Zephaniah. Zephaniah, Hebrew prophet of late 7th century BCE. Book
BC.
containing oracles chiefly concerned with approaching judgment by Hashem upon the sinners of Judah.
Okay, so he says, again, just going back to the Rambam. So Rambam says, he will then, Mashiach will improve the entire world, motivating all the nations to serve God together, as it says in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9.
Zephaniah.
I will transform the peoples to a purer language. They will all call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. Okay, so
this is actually a real prophecy as opposed to what Samuel Jackson read in Pulp Fiction, which is a made up.
Yes.
Made up nevuah.
Yeah, just because it sounds like something cold to say.
And I am the Lord.
All right. So, okay, so it says, he continues, if he did not succeed, if the Mashiach did not succeed to this degree of everything that we just discussed, okay, or he was killed, he surely is not the Redeemer promised by the Torah. Now, it's funny because, again, the Rambam, Maimonides, is very exact in his language, okay? So why didn't he just say die? Like if he didn't, basically here it is again. If he did not succeed to this degree, including everything that we just talked about, or he dies. It doesn't say that. It says he has to be killed.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he did not succeed to this degree or was killed, he surely is not the Redeemer promised by the Torah. Rather, he should be considered as all the other proper and complete kings of the Davidic dynasty who died. God caused him to arise only to test the many. As it says in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 35, it says, and some of the wise men will stumble, to try them, to refine, and to clarify until the appointed time, because the set time is in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to read everything here.
I guess what I'm saying is that you and I always speak about the knickknacks and all this kind of stuff.
Right. So I'd like to. I wanted to put this into context.
And yet we okay.
He's writing this in like the year 1100, give or take, something like that. So this is, he continues criticizing Christianity. So I don't want to get bogged down into that. I just wanted to give the actual what do Jews believe Mashiach is and what he should do, right? So hold on. Nevertheless, the intent of the Creator of the world is not within the power of man to comprehend. 1 second. Although the life who arose after him. So basically, nevertheless, the intent of the Creator of the world is not within the power of man to comprehend. For his ways are not our ways, nor are his thoughts our thoughts. Ultimately, all the deeds of Jesus and the Ishmaelite who arose after him will only serve to prepare the way for Mashiach's coming and the improvement of the entire world, motivating the nations to serve God together, as Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9 states. Zephaniah again. I will transform the peoples to a pure language, that they will all call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. Okay, so how will this come about? The entire world has already been filled with the mention of Mashiach, of Torah and Mitzvot. These matters have been spread to the furthermost islands, to many stubborn-hearted nations. They discuss these matters and the Mitzvot of the Torah, saying, these Mitzvot were true, but were already negated in the present age and are not applicable for all time. That's what the other religions are saying, right? Others say it is implied in the Mitzvot that are hidden concepts that cannot be understood simply. The Mashiach has already come and revealed those hidden truths. That's what Christians say. Now, when the true Messianic king will arise and prove successful, see, that's the key. It's success. God will bless him with success. His position becoming exalted and uplifted, they will all return and realize that their ancestors endowed them with incorrect information, and their prophets and ancestors caused them to err. Okay, so that's chapter 11. Now, chapter 12. It's pretty short. Could I just finish it out?
Okay, just please. Yeah.
Okay, so so do not presume that in any of the messianic age, any facet of the world's nature will have to change, or there will be innovations in the work of creation. Rather, the world will continue according to its pattern, which, by the way, includes everything that we haven't discovered yet, which seems miraculous to us, right? We talked about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, although Yeshayahu, Isaiah, in chapter 11, verse 6, he says, the wolf will dwell with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the young goat. These words, this is Maimonides' opinion, which is not the majority opinion, by the way. It says these words are a metaphor and a parable. That's actually not what he says, because the word metaphor is not a correct translation of the Hebrew wording here. I remember that from before.
Yeah.
So okay, but anyway, so it says the interpretation of the prophecy is as follows: Israel will dwell securely together with the wicked, who are likened to a wolf and a leopard, as it says in the prophecy of Yirmiyahu, of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 6. It says, a wolf from the wilderness shall spoil them, and a leopard will stalk their cities. Mm-hmm. Okay, they will all return to the true faith and no longer steal or destroy. Rather, they will eat permitted food at peace with Israel, as it says in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 7. It states that the lion will eat straw like an ox. Okay. Similarly, other messianic prophecies of this nature are metaphors. That's what he says. In the messianic era, everyone will realize which matters were implied by these metaphors and which allusions they contained. Okay. Now, our sages taught there will be no difference between the current age and the messianic era, except the emancipation from the subjugation to the Gentile kingdoms. So the simple, that's from the Gemara. So the simple interpretation of the prophets, that previous statement that I just made, that's from the Gemara, which means the Talmud. Okay, so the simple interpretation of the prophet's words appear to imply that the war of Gog and Magog will take place at the beginning of the Messianic age. Before the war of Gog and Magog, a prophet will arise to inspire Israel to be upright and prepare their hearts, as it says in Malachi, chapter 3, verse 22. It says, behold, I am sending you Elijah. He will not come to declare the pure impure, or to declare the impure pure. He will not dispute the lineage of those presumed to be of proper pedigree, nor will he validate the pedigree of those whose lineage is presumed blemished. Rather, he will establish peace within the world. Okay, as it says, he will turn the hearts of their fathers to the children. There are some sages who say that Eliyahu's coming will precede the coming of the Mashiach. All these and similar matters cannot be definitely known by man until they occur, for these matters are undefined in the prophet's words, and even the wise men have no established tradition regarding these matters except their own interpretation of the verses. Therefore, there is a controversy among them regarding these matters. There's also a controversy that he said that, because it would seem that some do have a tradition of that he was not aware of, like the Ramban. Okay. Now, regardless of the debate concerning these questions, neither the order of the occurrence of these events or their precise detail are among the fundamental principles of the faith. Okay. So a person should not occupy himself with the agadot, or the homiletics, concerning these and similar matters, nor should he consider them as essentials. For study of them will neither bring fear or love of God. Similarly, one should not try to determine the appointed time for Mashiach's coming. Remember, he's saying this 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Our sages declared, may the spirits of those who attempt to determine the time of Mashiach's coming expire.
It's funny, like I always hear in yeshiva, all these different rabbis who were telling me this, and all these people that we hear. Again, we spoke about this. We're talking about don't all this mumbo jumbo, heebie-jeebie, but yeah, they forget to mention the context, what you just said, of who these people were talking to.
Yeah,
obviously, in our generation, we have to learn Nagadot, we have to learn Gematria, we have to learn all these Pneumius. We must, I don't know about calculate, but we must at least try to figure out Be'erech with, and then in looking at current events, what the heck is going on, and when we can kind of put our Shabbos clothing on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, he was dealing with, 1,000 years ago, he was dealing with a very desperate people who were just, in agony from all the persecution.
As your brother likes to say, devolved pagans.
Devolved pagans.
I mean, there were devolved pagans around who were bringing down Klal Yisrael and influencing them in a bad way. Also.
Yeah, there's from
like
every
today.
side, getting hit from every side, every generation.
Just like today, people are just have their brains taken over by propaganda. But anyway.
Okay. So listen. Okay, so far we haven't heard of any of the supernatural stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says that during the era of the Messianic king, once his kingdom has been established and all of Israel has gathered around him, the entire nation's line of descent will be established on the basis of his words and the prophetic spirit which will rest upon him. As it says in Malachi chapter 3, verse 3, it says, he shall sit as a refiner and purifier. Okay. He will purify the lineage of the Levites first, stating that he is a priest of defined lineage, or he is a Levite of defined lineage. Okay. Those whose lineage will not recognize those whose lineage he will not recognize will be lowered to the status of Israelites. Meaning, if he sees somebody comes forth to him to be assessed, whether or not he's a Levi, who's presumed to be a Levi, and through prophecy, meaning God tells them, okay, if he's not, so he will just have the status of the rest of us Israelites. Okay, so this is implied by Ezra, the book of Ezra, chapter 2, verse 63. Says the governor said to them, they should not eat of the most holy things until a priest arises who will wear the Urim and the Tumim. From this verse, you can infer that the prophetic spirit will be used to define and notify the pedigree of lineage. Okay. Now, when he defines the lineage of the Israelites, he will make known their tribal lineage alone, stating, he is from this tribe and he is from another tribe. Okay. He will not, by contrast, state concerning a person who is presumed to be of unblemished lineage, saying, oh, he is illegitimate or he is of a slave lineage. Okay. He won't say, he's not going to do that. Okay? Because it says, for the law is once a family has become intermingled with the entire Jewish people, they may remain intermingled. Okay. Now, the sages and the prophets did not yearn for the Messianic era in order to have dominion over the entire world. I'll repeat that. That's important. The sages, meaning the rabbis and the prophets, did not yearn for the Messianic era because they wanted to rule the world. Or because they wanted to rule over the Gentiles, or because they wanted to be exalted by the nations and to eat and to drink and celebrate, bring the women, that's not what they were talking about. Okay. Rather, they desired to be free to involve themselves in Torah and wisdom without any pressures or disturbances, so that they would merit the world to come, as it is explained in Hilchot Teshuvah. Okay, so this is the last part. In that era, there will be neither famine or war. There will be no envy or competition, for good will flow in abundance, and all the delights will be freely available as dust. The occupation of the entire world will be solely to know God. Therefore, the Jews will be great sages and know the hidden matters, grasping the knowledge of their Creator according to the full extent of human potential. As it says in Isaiah, in Yeshayahu, chapter 11, verse 9, it says, the world will be filled with the knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean bed. So that completes the Rambam's statements on Mashiach. With that, can I take a 30-second pee break?
Please do that.
Appreciate it. I'll put it on mute.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to a wonderful exposition by our friend Ephraim/Frank Zelenko, talking about just Mashiach and Tzadikim and all these kind of things. It's interesting, very appropriate. This evening, if you're already in Israel, it's already evening, it's already nighttime, and it is the yahrzeit of the Baba Sali, Rabbi Israel Abuchadzera. He was known to be a great miracle worker. He actually was born in Morocco, and he made his way over to Israel, I believe in the early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. He lived until age 94. He passed away actually January 1984. He's buried in Netivot, Israel, in the south of Israel. And people visit his grave every year. This year, actually, the Israeli government, I don't know if they stuck to their guns of testing Hashem and invoking horrible anger with Hashem by way of not allowing people to visit the kever of the Baba Sali because of, according to them, COVID, Shmovid. I hope they allowed, and even if they don't allow, we're going to have the same thing anyway as what we had with besides Meron, what we had with Uman, where people just go. And if you want to stop them, you can try.
I am back.
I'm just telling people about the Baba Sali. This evening, actually, is the yahrzeit of Baba Sali.
Wow.
Yes, speaking of Tzadikim, and I was just telling people about what's happening in Israel today, where the government, they were trying to have this whole thing of not allowing people to gather, because, thousands of people gather there at his yahrzeit, but they were trying to have this whole thing of not allowing them to gather there. And I said that is already crossing the line. That's already testing. You're not just testing the people, you're testing Hashem at this point.
You know what's about Baba Sali? He was one of the the two people that I'm aware of, that most people are aware of, that when you have an encounter with him, you're having an encounter with the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Because they use the word miracles and stuff like that, but
yeah,
you would see the laws of physics broken in front of your eyes many times, thousands of people.
Yeah. It's and listen. You should read. You should read.
Was the other one? Yeah.
Yeah, he was, and I was just gonna say you should read the book about Bir Yaakov, which I guess is Baba Sali's either grandfather or great grandfather. I mean, all the men in his family were people who, like, we're talking about suspension of natural law. I mean, his great grandson or his great grandson was my. Oh yeah.
He's
that's
awesome
funny.
guy. No, he's a cool
funny.
guy. He's like actually from LA.
You know what's funny? Abu Chadzera, was it Abu Chadzera? The last name Abu Chadzera came from. Was it Abu Chadzera? The last there was a last name that was derived from how the grandfather came to. He was like a carpet on a carpet. He was like something like floating on a carpet. the one who floats on a carpet, something like that. I mean, you should read the book about the family. It's very interesting. And like his grandfather was doing stuff in Morocco where like, there's a local governor, anti-Semitic, whatever it is, harassing the people in some town. And they basically called him and he did some kind of like, whatever trick that he did, and it's appropriate. We're talking about this week's parsha. He basically did the equivalent of turning his, what is it, snake back into a stick and vice versa, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this governor, turned white, and he just like did whatever, I guess Abir Yaakov said. I guess again, I don't know if it's his grandfather or great grandfather. There's just countless stories like this.
There are tzadikim in Morocco.
Yeah.
They're still buried in Morocco,
Yeah.
and Muslims come there and pray as if it's a holy site to them as well, because some of these people were, they made quite an impression in their, in their region. So, it reminds me of that joke.
No.
There's a joke that I heard this from Yosef Yitzhak Jacobson. Y. Jacobson.
Yeah.
Wait, is it Yaakov Yosef or Yosef Yitzhak?
I think it's Yosef. Yitzhak.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Until further.
Yeah.
No.
Until further confirmed. Yeah.
So he said like this. He said, he probably didn't make this joke up, but I heard it from him. So he said that if you ask a non-Jew, like, how do you feel about the Jew? He goes, I hate the Jews. They did this, they did that. Hey, but what about your neighbor down the street, Jacob? Oh, he's such a wonderful man. Oh, he's the sweetest man in the world. He's just a pleasure to have around, right? And he says, now if you ask a Jew, it's the exact opposite. He goes, how do you feel about the Jewish people? I love my people. I'm proud of my people. This and that.
Yeah.
Hey, what about your neighbor over there?
Okay.
Crook, that son of a bitch. Right?
Exactly. We went to Beis Din the other day. Son of a. He owes me money.
He's a crook. He's a liar.
Son of a. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. They don't let you live. Don't let you breathe.
I'm looking for there's a book actually. One of our viewers asked what book. There's a book that I had. I don't remember. I mean, they have teachings of Abir Yaakov, but there's a book about the history of the Abu Chazera family. I mean, there's here, Baba Sali. I want to just give this. I mean, it's amazing. The story is like here. This is where Chazera last name carpet. There's something related with the carpets. There you go. Okay, owner of the carpet. The name Abu Chazera, which means here. I knew it was something with carpets, but it goes into the story. Yeah, the name Abu Chazera means owner of the carpet. Refers to a story about the Baba Sali's grandfather's use of a magic flying carpet. Descendants of Rabbi Israel Abu Chazera are known as righteous men, knowledgeable in Kabbalah, miracle workers, though it is possible that their miracle is accumulating bills and coins. Two from the dynasty. So this guy's rabbis. This is like JewishCurrents.org. It's like one of these guys. I don't know if it's connected, but it's a Haaretz article. Yeah, you're integer. The magazine determines. Okay, they're wealthy. What do you do? And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a person who was on carpets. That's where they got the name from, Abu Chazera.
Can I tell you something about carpets?
Yeah.
So this is actually printed on. This is a midrash, but he printed it. Rabbi David Katz. He wrote a book called Soul Mazel in the beginning.
Yeah.
And on the back, he talks about there's a medrash where it says, 1 second, Sefer Zichron Shemuel, and many other places bring a midrash on Parshat Noach, where it says Shem, the son of Noah, went up into Gan Eden through the clever usage of holy names of God. Yeah. There he ate from the tree of life, and when he reached the time to die, he went to the desert, Sinai, and stood to see what his end would be. He remained standing in place, neither alive nor dead, but unable to move from that place. Solomon sought after him in the desert to speak with him, but didn't find him. Then there appeared to him something like a man, similar to a great mountain. covered with thorns and grasses. Solomon immediately understood that this was Shem. Shem told him all that had happened and requested that he repair him and bring him to the grip of the grave. In the midst of all this, Shem asked him. Shem was asking Solomon. He said, "What were all those voices and sounds in the year 2448?" Solomon answered that it was the giving of the Torah. So Shem was Mount Sinai. I think that was it's a mixture of what's going on right now. You're talking about carpets. The Torah is about to be given.
Yeah.
So, did it say that he was flying around? Solomon sought after him. Right. I don't think that it mentioned here. Solomon was flying around on his carpet.
Yeah.
Solomon had a flying carpet. That's what the Midrash should say. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah.
That was interesting.
So here's my question. If we know that there's 36 tzaddikim, why don't we just hope for them to come along before even any knickknacks come along? Let these tzaddikim, at least these guys will be able to just tell us, instead of like having some sort of shocking thing with a I don't know, with a spaceship or some kind of like interdimensional craft, whatever thing.
Dude, can you stop looking a gift horse in the mouth? You know what I mean? If they want to come in Tic Tacs, let it be Tic Tacs. Who cares?
No, I know, but you understand what I'm saying. Like,
why, dude? Why? How you say?
Because these guys are already here.
Right? That's
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not that. That's not. No, it's a bad. What's it called? Attribution. What you just did. It's a faulty attribution.
It's similar to saying, like, why did God make leaves green and why did he make
No,
bark
because
brown?
these guys are already here, and we have all of these Jews running around thinking that what the media says, and that accusing anybody of criticizing Soros as an anti-Semite, whatever.
Listen. The 36 are like this. Think about it like this. You know the imagery of Atlas?
Yes, they hold the world. I know exactly.
What do you want them to also? Hold on a second. I'm gonna just put the world down for a moment so I can go and tell people.
They don't have to put the world down, dude. There's a guy. He posted something from Fact Check to debunk what I said about athletes, and I go, "Oh, Fact Check, that settles it. Something paid for by Soros." So he's like, "Oh, you're going into this anti-Semitic." I'm like, "What are you talking about? The guy happens to be Jewish. I don't care if his name was Ching Chong Ping. He's funding this fact check, and the fact check are just a propaganda machine. I don't care who he is. They just say, I can't.
No, you can't.
These are Jewish people. These are like modern Orthodox. These like modern Orthodox lefties.
You don't understand. Like you're always the one who is off balance answering questions. You should be asking the questions.
I am asking the questions. I asked them many questions. They don't answer them.
Here's a simple question.
I asked them a question. They answered it with a fact check thing, with a factcheck.org.
That's what I'm saying. No, the next question is, well, why do you trust fact check? That's it. See what they say. Keep them answering questions. Sweet. Can you hear me?
Oh, you want me to? Oh, you implying conspiracy theories? What?
No, you were stuck there for a second. Like I don't know.
Sorry, I said that their answer is going to be, "Whoa, you're implying conspiracy theories?"
No, you don't. You could say, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." Just answer a simple question. Why do you trust the good people at Fact Check? Do you know any of the good people at Fact Check, or is it just because it says Fact Check? How about this? What if I tell you, here, this is a candy, but there's a razor blade inside, but it says candy? Like, why do you trust it? Okay, so just keep them answering questions. Keep asking them, because they are, dude. They don't know how to answer.
I know they have nothing.
Right. That's why.
At some point, how I won this. How I know I won, not won, but how I know I have the upper hand. Let's say in this argument, in this discussion. At some point, I think they. Well, she didn't block me. I think she just stopped answering and muted me. She said like goodbye, like she said some like thing, and then at the end of goodbye, like okay, she blocked me, and then but basically the person ran away. That's how I know that these people have nothing. But it's not even about that, Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry, my connection's over. I'm just saying it's not even about winning an argument, because to be honest with you, I wrote in one of these things, I said, I posted some article from that doctor in Germany, and I said, listen, I pray to God that not only Israelis got, shmasibo, but the whole world got shmasibo, part of the whole world, a good portion of the world. Because again, if we're talking about something until 2023, anybody who's doing an experiment worth its salt is doing placebo, right? Has to do placebo.
Yeah, if this is an experiment, which it is,
Yeah.
okay, there has to be a placebo.
Yeah.
Okay,
so the explanation, people asking, how come all these people are not dying? Well, saline.
Yes, I mean we talked about some of that evidence already.
Yeah.
You brought it to my attention. Actually, I looked at it.
Really? What was it specifically with that part? Or just saying in general the concept?
The data from the batches.
The data from batches. No, but the thing is, the data from the batches. Listen, every single batch had adverse events, meaning it could be that they're all just different dosages or different.
No, that was the implication. The implication was that they were that each batch, or not each batch, but groups of batches had different potency.
This one, yeah. And I think they're just messing around, and I think part of that is, well, part of that's the experiment, and part of that is also just to throw people off and say like, well, look, it's safe. Except for this one clump of people in Europe who are just on the soccer field,
What about the one clump? What about the giant clump of people in the United States?
Some, yeah, United States and Israel also, who can't even report anywhere because there is no counterpart to Shmers in Israel. I mean, there is, people just don't know about it. Israelis were not told about it. It's like sheep, you're the sheep. You're not getting it's not your job to know. It's not for you to know.
Yeah, it's yours to
need to know basis. Need to know basis. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's just I was just talking to my friend, my friend who grew up in Israel, and he keeps telling me how that I'm wasting my time by just even talking to my little tiny quadrant of people, and he's telling me about his father. Get this, his father, of blessed memory, he's Yemenite. His father was one of the lawyers who was going up against the government with that whole Yemenite children's case. Back when everybody thought it was a conspiracy theory. Yeah. Back when the entirety of Israel thought. And then he told me, he's like, my father gave me some advice. Don't go with these, politicians, and the people on both sides are, both sides of the argument are whatever, like crooked, whatever it is. And I tell him, listen, brother, first of all, I agree with you that they are, which is why I never went into politics. But that doesn't mean that a single person, citizen, cannot help his quadrant, the people that he's dealing with, his friends and his family and the people closest to him. Apart from that, look at Avram Avinu. The person went up against the whole world. He did something, he accomplished something. It got to a point where the whole world is now following essentially some version of his ideology, some watered down version of his ideology, but it's his ideology nonetheless. Even the Buddhists and the Hindus, on some weird way, right?
Yeah.
And I said, man, the fact, and this guy grew up in Israel, so I was like, dude, the fact you were conditioned to believe that there's nothing you can do, there's nothing a citizen can do, that the government knows all, is the end all be all. It's a very socialistic, comes from the Soviet Union. That's who founded, not Soviet Union, but people who were in the Soviet Russians, ex-Soviets, whatever, socialists founded the state of Israel, and that's the mentality that they instilled in people. That's why when the government says you do, that even though it's an experiment, even though you can't sue the people doing the experiment in case something goes wrong, it's just, and it's just sad, to hear a guy and it's funny because he moved to America and he's so happy to be in America and he calls America the greatest country in the world. And I tell him, brother, man, do you know how America became, quote unquote, what you think is the greatest country in the world? Because people, individuals, citizens fought against what they believed to be tyranny back in the day, and then over time, over 1800s and even early 1900s, even if you disagree with the system, but that they were bringing forth, but they had the triangle shirt factory, right? So people fought for their rights, workers' rights. The fact that we have Shabbos off, the fact that we have weekends, the fact that we are not working like a dog. People fought for that. Whether it's unions, not unions. At every step of the way, there was always something for people to rise up and say like this is messed up. And it was like one guy, even if you disagree with like the whole gay whatever thing. This guy Harvey Milk, right? At that time, he fought for just to have rights as a person of his sexual persuasion. Even people like that at that time. I'm not even talking about now with all they want is power now, right? At that time, all they wanted was rights. At every step, every group comes in this country because of the embedded system and says, this is messed up and we're going to speak out and we're going to, it starts with like a small group of people. And the next thing you know, it's, but it's just so sad to see people in Israel who have just been conditioned to believe that there's literally nothing they can do. He literally told me straight up, he's like, Speed, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing, you're not gonna save the world. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to save the world. I'm trying to save one life, which is the Talmud says, you save one life, you save the world.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not trying to save 8 billion people.
You can say, listen, you can save the world by telling them that you don't have to comply.
Yeah.
Just those words, saying that out loud will be like, guys, just reminding you, you don't actually have to go through with this, right? No, they're not, they don't have enough SWAT teams to force everybody to do this. The only way they can do this is by corralling you and your minds into fear. You don't have to do this. Yeah. All you got to do is say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to what's her name? Nancy Reagan. Just say no.
Just say no. Exactly. Just say no to experimental death experiments.
Yeah.
I know I said experiment twice.
Experiment. Let me explain to you how this works. The experimental death experiments. See, the corporations sit in the corporation buildings, the corporation chairs. They have experimental death experiments, and they make money.
Let's light up the world, Greg.
Yes.
So with that being said, can I read about the 36?
Let's do it. Please do that.
This is from a book called Jewish Wisdom in the Numbers by Osher Chaim Levine with Rabbi Yehoshua Hartman. An Art Scroll series book. I'm upset they didn't have the number 33, but whatever. They have the number 36.
Yehoshua Hartman, he has he's from London. Rosh Beis Midrash in Hasmonia in London, disciple of Rav Hutner, and author of the multi-volume Machon Yerushalayim, editor of the Maharal of Prague works. Interesting. Just to give you background on who this person is.
Yeah. Okay. So, let there be light. Okay. So the main theme within the number 36 is that of or. Or is light in Hebrew. In Jewish thought, light is a symbol of revelation. It reveals the inner quality or the hidden essence that lies within existence. The number 36 is found both in the introduction of light on day 1 of creation, and it is also found in the symbolism of Torah illumination. Okay, so 36, the primordial light. The sources of natural light illuminating life on earth are the heavenly luminaries, like the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? But those are only fashioned on day 4 of creation. But earlier we see it says, so what was the nature of the light created on day 1? Right? It says on day 1, it said, let there be light. So what kind of light was that? So when God said, let there be light, and there was light. So in truth, this primordial light from day 1 that was created on the first day refers to the spiritual essence embedded within existence. Okay? It is about how God is manifest within creation and the way that the universe relates to him. The ability to tap into this primordial light would have enabled man to see the whole picture. That's in quotes, the whole picture. Through this light, it was possible to see from one side of the world to the other. However, this brilliant revelation would not be accessible to one and all due to the unworthiness of the wicked, whatever that means, God decided to hide this primordial light, which was then set aside for the use of the righteous in the future. So these are all midrashic statements. Let me explain. We have to take a moment just to explain, because we're going to be using a lot of these midrashic statements.
Yeah.
A midrashic statement is not a statement. It's not a literal statement. Okay, it is a statement which is put into the form of like a fable or a legend, kind of like a fairy tale type thing. But within the terms are encoded real information. You have to know how to break that code. We have a tradition, what each one of these ideas really is on the practical level. Now, there are in some instances when midrashim are meant to be taken literally, okay, and we have the tradition as to there are some debates, I think, as to some of them, but I think for the most part it's known to all which ones were intended to be taken literally and which ones weren't. Okay, so so prior, I'm going back to the text for a second. Prior to Adam's expulsion from the Garden of Eden, he was given use of this primordial light, the light from day one. He was given use of it for a 36-hour period. This revolved around Shabbos. Okay, it was the 12 hours preceding Shabbos, because he was created 12 hours before Shabbos. Adam was created 12 hours before Shabbat, and then it was followed by the 24 hours of Shabbat itself. Okay, so the 12 hours from the point that Adam was created until the beginning of Shabbat, and then the 24 hours of Shabbat itself, that's 36 hours. Okay, that Adam enjoyed this primordial light. Okay, so that Adam was exposed to this light meant that mankind had, at its inception, experienced this sublime dimension. This exposure opened a portal through which man would be able, at least at a later stage, to at least partially tap into the spiritual purpose of existence. It would be possible for him to perceive this as God had originally intended. So while the primordial light was hidden, it is up to man to take whatever steps are necessary to reveal this light once again in the universe. So the access to the 36 hours of primordial light in the future will be reserved for those people who are engaged in Torah study. Okay?
Yeah.
Due to the spiritual decline of man, God concealed the primordial light for that the Torah scholar is to perceive, and also the hidden meanings of the Torah that would otherwise be hidden from all of the creatures. That's a very strange way to phrase it. In other words, this hidden light was hidden within the Torah. So by studying it, you reveal the light. Okay. So it says that, again, there's that statement, the hidden light reserved for the righteous relates to the radiance contained within the deep meaning of the Torah, meaning the Kabbalah, okay, which is also known as the tree of life. Indeed, Torah itself is synonymous with light, because it says, Hi ner mitzvah, the Torah or. It's a quote, a mitzvah is a lamp, and the Torah is light. So there's a note here as to where that reference is from. I don't know. Oh, okay. It's 1 second. It's from Mishlei, from Proverbs.
Can you give me literally 5 seconds? I have to let this animal inside.
Sure.
Hold on 1 second.
Contain the animal, Greg. Contain it.
Oh man, hold on. I could have sworn I thought I heard this guy, but I guess not.
That could have been from my side.
Could have been.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Cats, coinciding.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So again, there's a quote here from Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 23. It says, "Ki ner mitzvah, the Torah or," which is a mitzvah is a lamp. Okay, and the Torah is light. So, like the primordial light, Torah teachings, illuminate the life of a Jew, even in this world. Torah enables a person to navigate this world, which is compared to darkness. Okay? As it enlightens his pathway so that he may fulfill the spiritual purpose of life. Okay, so light neatly ties in with the number 36, as there are a total of 36 expressions of light found within the Torah. This is cool. So let me see. There's a note here to that too. So the Rokeach, who lived 1,000 years ago, famous Kabbalist, Hilchos Hanukkah, Siman 225, as cited by the Bnei Yisachar, 36 times is inclusive of all expressions of light, including ner, meoros, and or. Okay, there are 36 expressions of light in the Torah. Okay. So one of the foremost symbols of Torah were the luchot, the tablets given to Moshe, upon which the 10 Commandments were engraved. Its dimensions were 6, listen to this, 6 handbreadths by 6 handbreadths, namely 36 square handbreadths. Okay, that's I didn't know. I was not conscious of that. That's pretty cool. And in the period leading up, to his passing, Moshe's final teaching of Torah is the Mishnah Torah, which is actually, that's the other name for the book of Devarim. Did you know that? That the book of Devarim is called Mishnah Torah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it is a review of everything that had happened before. It represents Moshe's last 5 weeks of life.
Right.
So he's recounting everything that had happened. And again, this is a new generation. So he has to review with them all the lessons, everything that occurred. Okay. So Moshe's final teaching of the Torah, the Mishnah Torah, began on the 1st of Shabbat and continued for 36 days up until his death on the 7th of Adar. So the book of Devarim was said over 36. The whole book of Devarim is just Moshe speaking, right? And he spent the last 36 days of his life teaching Torah. So that's an awesome 36 right there. Okay. So there's like 2 more pages of this. Should I continue? Or
yeah, please.
Okay. Hide and seek. That's the name of the heading. Darkness is the necessary backdrop to the emergence of light. It is from out of the shadows where man finds himself in the dark that light shines forth. Okay. Indeed, the ordering of the days of creation is described sequentially. It says there was evening and then there was morning, right? That's the pattern.
Yeah.
So it shows that darkness is a prelude to the light. There was evening and there was morning. Okay. So the enlightenment of an answer similarly dispels any earlier state of darkness posed by a question. Likewise, certainty causes all element of doubt to effectively dissipate. So perhaps the most prominent expression of this phenomenon of hide and seek in the revelation of hidden light relates to the number 36 during the festival of Hanukkah. I think we may have discussed this. So the prevalent custom on Hanukkah is to light 1 candle on the first night of Hanukkah. Sorry for the noise. I'll say it again. The prevalent custom is to light 1 candle on the first night of Hanukkah, 2 candles on the second night, and so forth. So during the 8 days, a total of 36 lights are kindled. Hanukkah is, it's all about the light of Mashiach, right? In the works of Kabbalah, these lights correspond to the 36 hours of the primordial light that is now concealed, that same 36 hours that Adam enjoyed. So Hellenistic culture glorified the natural order, which obscures the divine hand in creation. And the Or Haganuz, which is this hidden light, right, that we talked about.
Yeah.
So due to their opposition to godliness and their worship of nature, the Syrian Greeks, as the epitome of Hoshech, darkness, they defiled the Bet HaMikdash, the temple in Jerusalem, which is termed Ora Shel Olam, the light of the world. That's one of the names of the Bet HaMikdash. Okay, so they defiled it. So he's saying that it's very symbolic that the natural order is what conceals the godliness in the world, right? And the Seleucid Greeks, or the Syrians who adopted the Greek culture at that time, right? They were all about the natural order. You know what I mean? They wanted to live within it and understand it and embrace it.
Yeah.
So on Hanukkah, Israel's victory over its adversaries was marked by the discovery of a hidden jar of uncontaminated oil. The light of this oil miraculously burned for 8 days. Symbolically, spiritual illumination of Hanukkah as a symbol of the primordial light vanquished the Syrian Hellenist darkness. The illumination of the 36 lights of Hanukkah was to draw out and tap into the Or Haganuz, which is hidden in the natural world. This is specifically accomplished through the light of Torah Shebal Peh, which is the oral law. Okay, in contrast to Torah Shebeksav, which is the written law, which was received prophetically beyond man. Okay, the nature of Torah Shebal Peh, which is the oral law, it lies deeply buried inside man's soul. The privilege of expounding Torah with the hidden lights shining forth from within was entrusted into the hands of man, and then personified by the sages. Okay, so we're approaching the last paragraph now. And this is, you're gonna like this, 36 hidden righteous, the 36 hidden tzadikim. In every generation, there are said to exist the Lamed Vav tzadikim, the 36 righteous people. Traditionally, these pious individuals are said to be hidden from the public eye. Still, they continue to exist through the annals of time in each generation. Their presence continues even after the temple's destruction and the discernible absence of the Shekhinah. It follows that this group of 36 tzaddikim corresponds to the 36 lights related to in the Or Haganos, the 36 hours of light that Adam enjoyed. So their shared characteristics include an unswerving dedication to the Torah as the mainstay of existence and the preservation of its inner light. It is up to these concealed 36 righteous people to draw the light out of the darkness and reveal it to the world. And still another exercise of hide and seek, which is interesting. One historical affiliation between 36 and the righteous is evident in the 36 casualties suffered by the Israelites at the Battle of Ai in the conquest of the Holy Land. That was in the book of Yehoshua, chapter 7, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
There were 36 that were killed in that battle. It says that. According to one opinion, the loss of 36 refers to the single death of Yair ben Menashe. Okay, which is, where does that say that? He was the one who captured Chabot Yair. The conquered villages were named after him to memorialize his name, as he had no sons. He also came from the tribe of Yehuda. Okay, so what about him? So he was this guy, Yair ben Menashe, right? He was as great as 36 judges, which constitutes the number majority of the 70 of the 70 member court, which is the Sanhedrin, right? So 36 is the majority. by one person, right? So,
Interesting.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
what did you want to say?
No, I said it's interesting. I said that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It is noteworthy that the meaning of his name, Yair, is he will illuminate. It also relates to the symbolism of or, of light. Just as the soul is hidden within the body, so is the hand of God concealed within the natural world. The Jew's mission is to reveal both his own soul and God's hand by projecting out the light. In effect, this means tapping into the spiritual essence embedded within existence and within his very being. One must identify and be in touch with the all-important inner dimension hidden by the natural realm. Okay, so that means that he is to release into the universe the connecting lights of his soul, of godliness, and of the Torah. The children of Israel light up the world by dispelling the darkness that covers the land. Where's that from? That's a quote from Yeshayahu, from Isaiah. Okay. In their capacity as a quote, as a light unto the nations. That's also from Isaiah. Okay. This term, the light unto the nations, that's from Isaiah. The Jewish nation paves the way for the glorious future era. Then the hidden light of creation will be restored. The same light that Adam enjoyed for 36 hours, right? So the world will once again be filled with the illumination of God. A new light, quote, a new light will shine on Zion, on Zion. May we all speedily merit to benefit from this light.
Yeah.
That's the 36th section in this book.
Interesting.
I love that measurement of the tablets, the 10 Commandments, the 2 tablets.
Yeah.
36 square. That's incredible. That's actually unbelievable. They were cubes. You know, that reminds us that they weren't like flat tablets. They were actually cubes.
Yeah.
They were squares. Square.
Yeah.
They were.
They were, yeah.
The first set were made out of sapphire, some kind of like special heavenly sapphire. And the second set, I'm not sure what they were made out of. Just regular stone, perhaps.
They never. It's interesting. It's amazing to me how like filmmakers, even serious filmmakers, let's say the guy who made 10 Commandments, had the audacity to not go into midrashim or any of these different sources to actually give, like, if you're going to make a movie, just at least make it to the teachings, make it, you know, bring out all the sources. Why are we, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like for babies. They're making movies for 5-year-olds. Movie, you know? Or is it just a Christianized version? Is that all that is?
I think that's what it is. I think it's for the public. You know, the movies. You know, the majority of people in the United States are Christians. The majority of the people who are going to watch that movie, an English-speaking movie, are Christians, and so he made it to what is familiar to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, on that sense, on a practical level, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I'm. You know, it's funny. Like when I first went to yeshiva, and then I would, you know, just would hear certain, you know, shiurim about either the parsha or some kind of midrashim, and I'm just like, I'm imagining a movie. I'm producing a movie in my head as I'm hearing these things, or I'm producing a movie in my head as I'm reading the Gemara about, you know, these Roman whomever generals or personalities in there, and the rabbis. It's a movie. All these things are like,
you know, that I was thinking what if that is still something that's going to be in the future, like when Mashiach comes, right?
Yeah.
People are going to be interested in understanding the Torah for real, right?
Yeah.
And so Hollywood has already established this notion of watching a movie to learn the history of something, right? Which so far has been awful.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
But when the era of truth begins, perhaps there will be movies made that, well, I don't know. I mean,
no, Notice how the only movies that are really, really good, that are historical, are movies that are made. It's not even about like even the acting. I mean, the acting is a part. Like you remember Ray, right, with Jamie Foxx.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so it was the accuracy and the MS of what they conveyed. It didn't matter if what they conveyed was, the guy taking heroin and doing this with women and this and that and the other. But what they conveyed was MS to the MS, and it was played incredibly by Jamie Foxx. Just like he's going to play, I think Tyson in a I think he's made a miniseries actually, not just a movie, feature film. As long as you convey MS, and in a very, very, obviously realistic way, this is what people respond to. People can smell MS. They can smell Sheker and they can smell MS. You go to a movie, this new Matrix thing. People can sense that there's something off.
Yeah.
It's not about the CGI may be cool, this may be cool, that may be cool. Even Keanu's blank stare may be very kind of skillful as an actor. But if it's not MS, it's just blah. And and word gets around. People tell their friends, "Oh, what do you think? Don't see that movie." That's how movies bomb. Because when these people go and they see the movie and then tell their friends not to see the movie.
Dude, you want to hear something? You want to hear something?
Yeah.
You keep using this word MS, right? So MS, for the folks at home, MS.
Truth.
MS.
Yeah.
Right. MS is a Ashkenazic pronunciation.
Yes. Agent MS.
It means truth. So we can by studying the letters of this word, it can teach you a lot about what the truth is. Okay? People have all sorts of definitions or ways of defining what truth is. So here's what truth is. It is the accurate beginning, the accurate middle, and the accurate ending of an event, retelling it how it was at every stage. Okay, so check this out. The first letter of the word emet is aleph. Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet. Okay, the middle letter, because emet is made of 3 letters, is mem. And that is the exact middle of the alphabet. And then the last letter of the word emet is tav, which is the exact last letter of the alphabet. So right there in its composition, it shows you that the truth is the truth wherever you're at, whatever stage you're looking at it. Okay, at the beginning, the middle, and the end. I saw because you use the word MS so much. MS this, MS that. And I was like, did we ever talk about that word? What does it mean? Oh, check this out. 36, listen to this. 36-year-old Brazilian reporter collapses and suffers cardiac arrest during live TV broadcast.
Dude, here's the thing. What I learned is this can keep happening and happening and happening and happening. And the people,
I know, but it didn't. He didn't have to be 36.
The people,
right?
I know. Apart from the 36, which is astounding. You show this to people. They want to see some kind of studies done on it, and this and that. And I'm just
they want to see some kind of studies done, which they're never going to read. They just want somebody who looks official to say, "Oh yeah, there's a study."
Yeah, it's just no. They're like, this is how science works. I'm like, no. You know how science works? When you actually have debate, when people debate, and the people who are against connect something are not shut out. That's how science works. And if you're not doing that, then you're doing a cult. You're in a cult. You're the demagogue and dogma and science. You've created a religion called scientism.
So, exactly. First of all, when you say that's how science works, so what? Who gives a damn? This is not science. This is a war. People are dying.
Yeah. No, that's what I told him. That's what I told him. I said, this is. We don't have time for study. And he's like, do you know how many studies? Yeah. What do you mean? There's so many studies. Oh yeah, they're coming out as we're fighting this war. Wonderful, but we're not doing anything about it.
Do you know how many people would have died in the meantime, right? While you're waiting for these studies to come out.
Yeah, it's just like I don't. That's why I stopped. I just stopped, and I just ultimately said, my ending kind of spiel was just, I really hope Israelis catch Masibo, or much of the world, not only Israelis. And I said that, Lord help us, God help us all, and don't say don't say you never had this discussion. I told this person, don't say you never had this discussion. Don't come to me and say that I didn't bring these things to your face.
Yeah.
I did everything possible. Everything possible. So that's, I could sleep at night in that respect. So it's funny, man. It's like this week's Parsha, like he just, again, we said it before, we can only imagine what Moshe Rabbeinu went through when he's trying to, like, these were Jews that I'm talking to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to help, warn my own people. I'm not talking to some random schmucks. I mean, they are schmucks, but these are Jews, you know what I'm saying? Like, some part of me, not despises them, but some part of me doesn't like them very much as people. But another part of me, it's like, Kol Yudim Arvim Zelazeh,
Right. That's part of the challenge, of
Just
it'd be easy to, it wouldn't be a challenge to do God's will if in terms of, it says, love your fellow as yourself, right? Love your fellow Jew as yourself.
Yeah.
If it wasn't obnoxious, that would be too easy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And God doesn't like anything too easy, apparently.
Yeah.
What's the name of the Parsha?
Bo.
Parsha's bow, right? What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Parsha's bow.
It is Bo. What is the gematria of Bo? Actually, I'm curious.
It's 3.
Is it 3?
Yeah, it's just Bet Aleph.
Okay. Wait, it's not Bet. It's Bet Aleph. It's not Bet Vav.
Bet Aleph. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a.
Well, 3 times 2 is
black.
6. 3 times 2 is 6, and we get 3 and 6. There you go.
Where'd you get the 2? Oh, because 2 letters.
3 times 2 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. And then 3 and 6.
I don't know.
I just did a little trick.
We can't do that. That doesn't.
I know.
That does not conform to the rules.
Oh, it doesn't conform to your little double blind thing.
Oh no,
I'm kidding.
Established laws that we received from Moshe himself.
Yes. It doesn't. Yes. Those are more valuable than the laws of the Shmidi Shmi.
Yeah,
I can tell you that much. But yeah, we have the whole thing of, wait, is it Bo or is it? Wait a minute. No, it is Bo.
Let's double check because I have some interesting math in that Parsha.
Yes, I think Bishalach is next week. Because Bishalach is next week, and Bishalach is the one where Amalek attacks.
Did we passed Yitro, right? I'm a little bit.
No, Yitro is after Bishalach.
Hang on.
We're in Bo, and in Bo, this is where we get Tefillin, and the firstborn. The concept, the what is it called? No, Pidyon Ben.
Dude, you want to hear something crazy? I'm googling on Google. What is? I started typing in what is this week's, and then it just goes Parsha. That's the first hit.
No, dude, can I tell you something? It's a theory I have. The only thing that the Sitra Achra, namely Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, and any of these things, Twitter, has not been able to obfuscate is the Torah, searches for Torah itself.
That's incredible, right? Like
that's the only realm they haven't touched. That Hashem is like, you can touch anything you want. You can touch fact check, schmack check, med XRIB, whatever you call it, those stupid studies. Put this one in the 20th page, put the most important one in the 20th page, put the stupidest one that's irrelevant or the fact check debunker in the first page. You can do anything you want, guys. Just don't touch my Torah. If a person types in, he wants to see the thing, I'm not only going to give him the thing, I'm going to fill it in for him.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You cannot. Don't touch this. Hamatan. Can't touch this. Sorry. Got my own lyrics. Oaktown. Don't touch my parachute pants.
Can't touch
You know what I'm saying? By the way, dude, today, remember that there's a famous picture of the Ukrainian parliament. It looked like a Renaissance painting painted in the Golden Rule. Speaking of,
oh yeah, the Fibonacci sequence.
Fibonacci. Today, the Knesset looked like it was about to break into such a fight. Naftali Bennett, in his Sitra Achra induced rage, literally almost physically confronted the opposition guys in the Knesset. He literally had to be held back. Like the security guys, I mean, they're standing there, they know it's a show, but he looked like he was gonna punch these people in the face.
Banana Republic.
Dude, it's so just people are watching this, they're like, it's so sad that where our leader, supposed reader, has it's just so sad. They can't even be upset. They watch this scene and they're like, it's even the most Masorti secular, some Moroccan guy in Ashdod knows that we need Mashiach at this point.
Question. During the Israeli election, right, like 68% of the country voted for right wing, and they got, a right wing government that does not include Arabs, right?
They know the way that it worked is they voted for certain parties that they know are going to be in a meaning. They voted for certain parties, and those parties did not have enough seats to make a coalition. The parties that got this proportional,
I understand. I understand how it felt. I'm just saying that, the truth is that if you look at the vote, the way people voted, they want a right wing government.
They do, but they all vote. They vote in blocks for people that look like them. They don't vote. I want to run a government. There's people who are Bibists. There are people who are Bennettists. There are people who are, the Kahan, they vote for Otzma. There are people who vote for Gideon Sa'ar who are also right-wing, but they didn't realize that this Potts Bennett would go and turncoat on Bibi and say, I'm join up with Bennett and then join up with Lapid and then join up with Meretz and Arabs. They didn't realize that the people that they vote, there's so many people who voted for Bennett, they're like, what the hell? What are you doing?
I'm just talking about that people, forget about just people went to vote. They don't know the details and they can't get into the wiring. They just, the guys that they look like mostly present themselves as right wing. That's what most people voted for, right? So instead they got the exact opposite of what they voted for. So
people are upset. Yeah.
In a certain way, it's kind of like, he's also not really the prime minister.
He's
they didn't vote for that guy, right?
Of course not. He got 6 seats. He was the person that was able to make a coalition. He was the person that was able to sit down with someone and cobble a coalition together. People agreed to sit with him, and it wasn't even to sit with him. It was to these were people who agreed to get Bibi out by any means necessary. That was their agreement. And they decided that Bennett would be the guy to be able to do that. That's basically it. There's nothing complicated. But you see that's Hashem. Hashem clearly did this to show us that there's nothing, that we have bupkis, that we have a corpse, skeleton, nothing.
Well, on that note, would you like to read? Would you like to read some parsha? I have actually. There's a book.
Yes.
There's an awesome book that I have. It's called Sacred Letters, Sacred Numbers by Nanana. Yeah, it's actually. So it is a Feldheim. I think it's not published by Feldheim. Or it is, or it used to be. Well, it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Here's what it says. Parshat Bo, and there's a quote here from Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And God said to Moses and to Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, okay, so that was just a segment of that pasuk, of that verse. Okay, so it says, when Hashem commanded the mitzvah of the new month, right, Rosh Chodesh, he addressed both Moshe and Aaron. So the combined gematria of Moshe and Aharon is 601, because the gematria of Moshe is 345, the gematria of Aharon is 256. So together there's 601. So what?
Yeah.
Right? All right. So the mitzvah of the new month was the first which Hashem commanded the Bnei Israel. And it was through Moses and Aaron, Moshe and Aaron. It was commanded through Moshe and Aaron.
Can I pause you for 1 second and make a confession? It is now 4:00 in the afternoon, New York time, and I didn't put on tefillin yet. And while you're talking, I will put on tefillin. Is that okay?
I approve.
Then let me go get it. Give me 30 seconds.
Proceed. I will have potato salad in the meantime.
All right, sorry about that.
All right. It just goes to show you that the people you're listening to are not tzadikim, for I have also not put on tefillin.
We are not. Oh wow, you have not.
I have not because I
But
have not.
you're in a different state where it's what,
I did,
at 5
I did,
o'clock.
I did say Shema on time. I'm
Okay,
very
fine.
proud of that.
Mhm.
Okay. So, okay, again.
Hmm.
So we're talking about the first mitzvah, by the way, in the Torah, right? Actually, Rashi, in the beginning of Bereshis, he says that the Torah could have easily started from this point that we're just talking about right now.
Mhm.
Because the Torah essentially is a book which tells you what God wants you to do, right? It's a book of where he tells you the laws, the mitzvahs. He tells you his will. He didn't have to tell you the whole history of the cosmos and all that kind of stuff. Just gave you a book. This is what I want. Okay, so, and it could have started right here about Rosh Chodesh because that's the first commandment. Okay, so again, for some reason the author decided to tell us that Moshe, the gematria of his name is 345, and the gematria of Aaron is 256. So together they equal 601. So how does that apply? Okay, so the mitzvah of the new month was the first which Hashem commanded to the children of Israel. And it was through Moshe, and it was through Moshe and Aaron. Okay, as it says in Exodus 12, verse 1. When Hashem spoke to Moshe and Aaron, he said, "This month shall be to you the beginning of months. It shall be to you the first of the months of the year." Okay. Now, so the gematria, so of it shall be, right? So again, so this month shall be to you the beginning of months. It shall be to you the first of the months of the year. So it in Hebrew is hu. Hey, vav, aleph. Hu. Okay. And the gematria of that is 12. Amen. Okay. So this word it's referring to again, I'm going to read the verse again. This month shall be to you the beginning of months. It, meaning the beginning of months, Rosh Chodesh, it shall be to you the first of the months of the year. So this it is referring to this mitzvah, right? So this word it in Hebrew, it's spelled Hey, Vav, Aleph. The gematria of that word is 12. Okay. So when the gematria of Moshe and Aharon is added to the gematria of it, meaning this, the Rosh Chodesh, right? The first of the month. So that's 601 plus 12. It's 613. Okay. So there is a total of 613 commandments in the Torah, which Hashem commanded the children of Israel. Thus, this phrase, Rishon hu lochem, it is the first to you, right? It can be read Rishon, this mitzvah, which is the first of the 613, so commanded, who it is the mitzvah of the new month. Okay, so and it was commanded, which was commanded to the children of Israel. Okay, so okay, and then it says you. Okay, so sorry, through you and Moses. So let me back this up for a second because the writing is a little choppy. It's like from the 1800s or something. So oh, it's like thus thou.
Yeah.
And all the tavs, are with a th, like parashat. Parashat.
Oh, it's like the Syrians.
No, that's what American.
I know. No, but like the only ones that do it this way today are Syrians. They kept that whole thing. Like Ashkenazim don't do that anymore. This th stuff.
Right. Okay. So this one's for you to be. Okay. So again, I'm just going to back up because this is kind of profound. So it says, "This month shall be to you the beginning of the months. It shall be to you the first of the months of the year." Okay. So again, so there's a total. So we were saying before that Moshe plus Aaron equals 601, and then the word "who," which means it, referring to this mitzvah, Rosh Chodesh, as it is referred to in the verse, is 12. So this word "who," it, is 12. So 601 plus 12 is 613. 613 always represents the commandments because there are 613 commandments. Okay?
I told you this yesterday, I think, or today. The new variant from Cameroon, IHU. If you Hebrayize it, it's Yud Hey Vav. What are we missing?
Hey, we're going to get there in a second. Hold on, I had some thoughts. I was ruminating on that.
Sorry.
And when I ruminate,
yes.
I whittle.
Yes.
So again, 630 commandments. Okay. We know how we got to the number 613. I don't have to review that. Okay. And so you have this phrase, "it is the first to you." Okay, so again, the full verse quote from the Torah is this: "This month shall be to you the beginning of months. It shall be to you the first of the months of the year." Okay, so this mitzvah, which is the first of the 613 commanded, so this word "who," right? It was commanded through Moshe and Aaron. Okay, since the total gematria of Moshe and Aaron, when added to the gematria of it, "who," is 613, the rereading of the phrase and the relationship to the 613 mitzvahs ties the gematria and the phrase together. To boil it down, this is telling you that this is the first of what this phrase is really telling you, that it is the first of the 613 commandments. Rishon, the word Rishon that's used in the Hebrew, the first. Okay. Okay, so that idea of the 630 commandments is encoded in that verse. Okay. Okay. So this month shall be to you the beginning of months. It shall be to you the first of the months of the year. Okay. So when the mitzvah of the new month was stated, the year was referred to as Lechadshe Hashanah, of the months of the year. So Lechadshe Hashanah, of the months of the year. Okay, the gematria of Lechadshe Hashanah, which again is the months of the year, is 712. Okay, so this expression, Lechadshe Hashanah, of the months of the year, seems superfluous. Right? For the meaning of the pasuk is clear without these words. Why was this expression written in the Torah? Right? Because we know that the Torah is absolutely accurate. Every little dot, there's nothing everything is accounted for, and then some. So the Jewish lunar calendar, which is based on a 12-month lunar year, falls short of the civil solar calendar by approximately 10, 11, or 12 days annually. In any given year, this difference depends on both the months of Cheshvan and Kislev being maleh, meaning full, meaning consisting of 30 days. or they are chaser, meaning they are defective or they are lacking and consisting of 29 days rather than 30.
Yeah.
Or one of them is maleh and the other one is chaser. Okay, so it says in the Mishnah Torah, the book of Zerayim, the laws of sanctification of the new moon, chapter 8, that, okay, so to account for this difference, all of that was stated in that book. So to account for this difference, in every 19 years, the Jewish lunar calendar has 7 leap years, in which a month is added to the year. Okay, but even after 19 years, the Jewish lunar calendar is still 1 hour and 485 halakim short of 19 solar years. So halakim is like the Jewish second.
Yeah.
Jewish second. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's so I think it was likened to like 3 of our seconds. Like if you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, that's 1 halak.
Mm-hmm.
Or halak, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there is a total of 1,080 halakim in 1 hour. Okay. Thus, every 19 Jewish lunar years differ from 19 solar years by 1 hour and 485 halakim, or 1,565 halakim, depending on the leap. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a very, very complicated this is going to be like 3 more pages to understand all the numerical value as to why 712 is very, very meaningful. So sorry, fellas. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg. Sorry, everybody listening. Okay. I should have looked at this ahead. This is a very complex complication. However, what is amazing, and this will knock your socks off. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So our calendar is based off the moon, a lunar calendar. Okay, that means our years, our months, our weeks, our days, and our hours, and even our seconds, all based off of the moon. Okay, and the most fundamental unit of measurement is the halak, like we just talked about, right? The Jewish second. And like we said, there's 1,080. Okay, it says here there is a total of 1,080 halakim in 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the Jewish hour. Okay, that's very fundamental and very interesting because the moon itself, if you study sacred geometry, right? A lot of people know that the moon, and they could only know this after NASA went there with satellites and they could accurately measure it, is 1,080 miles in radius. Okay, so the radius of the moon is 1,080. The radius of an object, especially a spherical or circular object, is a, or if not the fundamental value, mathematical value representing that object. Yeah. Okay, because you can derive so many other things about it. You can derive its diameter, you can derive its circumference, just by knowing the radius and understanding circular ratios. Mm-hmm. Okay, so. And it's amazing how the most fundamental unit of time as we measured it, well, we measured it in ancient Israel, was that exact number. People could look this up, Google it. What is the radius? Hold on. Let me just double check because this could be embarrassing. You know, I get a little paranoid. Like, what the hell? Like, what if I'm wrong? But I just saw it yesterday, but what if I'm wrong? Okay, so 1 second. The radius of Zimun. Yeah. It is 1,080 miles. 1,080 miles. Yeah. How did they know?
Or they didn't.
They did.
I don't think. Or did they?
And yet they did.
You know, can I tell you something?
Yes.
My business partner called me this morning. He's with us, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
He's a Lubavitcher guy also, happens to be. That's not why he's with us. And he posted something about the meeting of, or he posted on somebody posted something about there's, Rav Kook met Einstein.
Wow.
And they had a discussion here. Here you go. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I have to find this whole, as we say in Yiddish, Zach. Here you go. Einstein, on conferring with him in 1925, said that Rav Kook was one of the few people who understood his theory of relativity. He told Einstein about a passage in Kabbalistic texts that speak of varying experiences of time in different chalot, chambers of experience. In Jewish mysticism, Gershom Shalom explained that Rav Kook was the last example of productive Kabbalistic thought that I know.
Mm-hmm.
No, whatever. Then he goes on to this whole politics issue, whatever it is. And so somebody posted about that. My partner got into the discussion, and then my partner called me and he told me, somebody said, some I don't know who he was, modern Orthodox person or some yeshivish person. That's all. He goes, that's all well and good, but this is not physics. And my partner is asking me, how can a person say that? A person who's a Torah person who understands who Rav Kook is, what Rav Kook understood. He, understands what Rav Kook understood, or that he understood something. How can he say that? I go, dude, there are people, unfortunately, in our community who have taken, when we say Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol,
yeah,
they have literally done that. Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol doesn't mean, like take the Torah out of secular things, to take the Torah out of physics. It means something completely different. On a more spiritual level.
Amazing that you said that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that. So they think that it means that. Okay, so now we're going back to work, and that's gonna, what we're doing in our office has nothing to do with Torah. These are two separate things.
That is literally, right?
That's what they think.
No, but that is literally the most anti-Mashiach mindset possible.
I know.
You know why? Because I was just reading. You have some of Rabbi Back's writings, right? He was saying that Mashiach ben Yosef, because he's all about explaining what Mashiach ben Yosef is all about rejoining the spiritual with science.
Yeah.
Okay, because in the realm before Adam, in Gan Eden, that was a state of existence where everything was blended together. They were never divorced from each other.
Yeah.
Spirituality and science are one.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the goal of Mashiach ben Yosef, who has to get us back to the point of Gan Eden.
At least thinking in that way. Yeah.
No, proving it.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just saying that doing the opposite of that is the worst possible thing, the most anti-Mashiach activity you can do.
Well, you see, I mean, the behavior in the community is basically very, it's like they forgot about Dre. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They forgot about Dre.
But
it's South Central LA.
I'm gonna defend them. I know you don't like this, but
okay.
You know what? Dre forgot about us too. It seems
that's true. It could be. Dre left. Dre moved to Bel Air.
Why won't Dre just show up already and say this?
Dre moved to Bel Air.
There's plenty of us who are waiting for him every day, every moment.
Yeah. Don't forget your peeps. Don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just turned the Mashiach into Dr. Dre, into a rapper from South Central Los Angeles. I'm very, very sorry.
It was only a matter of time. Someone had to do it. Okay.
Only we could.
Only we could. Only you have to have either you gotta have the minerals. You got the minerals. Oh, tell me.
Our friend said, Tzvi, no, Will Smith moved to Bel Air. Bel Air is not just one guy. There's different guys there. This is what I come on to. Dr. Dre with Mashiach. Oh, she just got on the program. Our friend, what's her face?
You have the minerals, Tommy.
She's like, this is what I see. I come on, I see Dr. Dre is Mashiach. Or Mashiach is Dr. Dre.
Listen,
oh, Lord.
Listen.
This is the 48th and a half level of Tumah.
No, it's not.
I know,
Listen.
I'm kidding.
You brought up teshuva, right? Teshuv hey, right?
That was you yesterday, and then I said Matthew McConaughey. But anyway.
Yeah, but that was annoying. I was like, what the hell? Matthew McConaughey. He goes, actually, no, he doesn't say, hey. I was thinking that was Fat Albert. McConaughey goes,
Hey.
he walks into a room, he's like, all right.
All right.
All right.
I saw a clip yesterday of what's his name, Jim Carrey, on Celebrity Jeopardy playing as Matthew McConaughey, and then he's like, I think I left my Lincoln parked outside, but it's okay because it's unlocked. Is it unlocked? It's okay. It doesn't matter. I don't know, it's just his impression.
McConaughey's hilarious, bro.
Whatever.
Every time I see him, I immediately begin laughing. I'm not because he's not because he's goofy looking, but he's just
Yeah.
I don't know, he's McConaughey, you know.
He's McConaughey. You know that he's against all this stupid woke crap, and he wants to run for governor of Texas.
Trojan horse.
I know. Not Trojan horse, but probably controlled. What's it called? Yeah. Why do we call all these people who are against something control the opposition? Why can't we just give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they are just?
Because unless he's pulling a Reagan,
Yeah.
Which is rare, it's hard
Yeah.
to believe, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
You never know.
listen, I don't want there to be a Texas governor. I want there to be Mashiach. I'm sick. I don't want to wait for elections. Understand that implies waiting.
I know.
I just want to say about this. You brought up this incredible thing about
Aichu and Yud
about the missing hay. No, the missing hay.
Yeah.
Right. So Yud represents Chachma, okay, and the parts of Abba. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, the first Hey represents Bina and the parts of Ima. Okay. Vav represents Zer Anpin and the 6 emotional sphirot, starting from Chesed and going down to Yesod. Okay. So, which is interesting because Vav is the gematria of 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in order to bring Mashiach, okay, you have to reunify the final Hey with the rest of the letters. Right now, the state of the world that we're in right now is represented. It is symbolized, or it's not symbolized, but it's encoded as Yud Hey Vav Hey with a broken off Hey at the end. We have to reconnect the Hey, which is our world, Asiya, Malchut.
Yeah.
Okay? And it is the partsuf of Nukva. Okay, and the Vav, which is the previous letter, is the partsuf of Zer Anpin. So we have to reunify Zer Anpin and Nukva. Okay, so listen.
Yeah.
How do you do that? By doing teshuva.
Yeah.
That's the mechanism.
Yeah.
The teshuva, if you look at the word. Can you look it up, teshuva?
In Hebrew.
Yeah.
The first thing you get is Yitzhak Tshuva, Israeli billionaire. Unbelievable. Google is such. And the 5th thing is my Jewish learning, Tshuva, repent, or the thing. Google, Moogly.
I think teshuva. I think it's top shin.
No, a tough shin vav bet hey.
Okay, so check this out. Right in at least in the Nusach Ari, before Pesukei de Zimra, or a little bit within it, there's a prayer here that says, "L'shem Yehud Kucha Brihu Ushehin Te."
Yeah, Ushkin Te.
Le'ahada Shem Yud Hey Bevav Hey. The Yehuda Shalim B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Okay, so basically, it's saying in the name of the unity, for the sake of unifying, Kucha Brihu, That's the name of God, Kudsha Brichu, which actually corresponds to Zeranpin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ushchintech, and his Shekhinah,
Yeah.
which is Nukva, which is Malchut, which is Asiya, which is our world. Okay, so we're saying these prayers in order to unify them. Once they're unified, that's Mashiach world. Okay, so listen to this. Teshuv Hey, what does it mean? We do Teshuvah, but it's spelled Teshuv Hey, right? It said the word Teshuv and then the letter Hey at the end.
Yeah.
It means to return the Hey. Teshuvah, the word Teshuvah means return the Hey.
Yeah.
Rejoin the Hey to the Vav of God's name.
Yeah.
Fire! Fire!
What?
I spit hot fire!
So this whole variant, you think Hashem can just join up with this whole thing?
What's the Hey?
Is it just a siman for us?
There's no such thing.
Okay.
No such thing as thus. I'm sorry, as just. I said thus.
Not just, but well, it's all that needs to happen. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know what it means, but it definitely is showing you that the world is fractured. It's like here's the world is fractured. Well, what are you going to add to it? What's going to be? So what is it in English? IHV, IHU.
IHU, yeah, Yud, Hey, Vav. Unless I'm incorrectly, you know what I'm saying?
So we need another H.
That's what I'm saying.
What's the H represent?
In
the English, like in.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Possibly.
Okay.
Wow. I don't know how that wasn't obvious. Holy crap.
Interesting, Smithers. Yes.
Wow.
Well, brought to you by Dr. Shmelenko. This, sponsored by Schmeiser. Sponsored by Dr. Shmelenko. See, he's not looking to have his name on the front of like a Newsmax broadcast. Like his logo. Not that he has a logo or whatever. Z-Schmack. He's not looking to do that. Ever. Like ever. If somebody offered him, we're gonna it's like the My Pillow guy. We're gonna give ads of your thing in our program. Would he take it?
Well, yeah.
Well, there goes that idea. Thanks, man.
Because I'm thinking like the affiliate thing. Isn't that what you're describing?
It's not affiliate. I'm talking about an ad on a freaking.
He doesn't.
And then it says sponsored by Z-Schmack.
Right. I don't think he would do that. But it seems like the Gateway Shmundit or the Shmeitway Pundit is advertising him like on their own. It's like just as one of the articles. Like he's I see them like every day.
Yeah. But that's just them. It's not the biggest freaking television station, Shmi-NN. This is brought to you by Schmeiser.
Right.
How many people read Shmundit and how many people watch Shmi-NN and read Shmi-NN? It's like freaking.
I think the Shmeitway Shmundit has probably way more viewers and readers. Like everybody normal, everybody who understands what happened in the election is looking at the Shmeitway Shmundit like all the time. Like they have to be like the new Drudge Report.
I know.
You know what I mean? How long have we been going?
It was a couple hours. I think 2 hours 15 minutes. I think we're.
Was that adequate? No,
in the words of Larry David, I have nothing more to contribute.
Yeah. You know why I asked that question? How long we've been going? Because it feels weird because this is like during the daytime.
I know.
And
usually we're done at like 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I'm like blasted, basically.
Blasted. What do you drink every time?
No, I knew you were going to say that. From exhaustion.
That's true.
So,
our friend is saying, "Tzvi, this is a reminder of where God is. Where is God in our life? You know, the whole thing with Aihu. God is telling us we need God. When we are missing God, then we have I am the science, which God overrides. Oh, like Shmausi, or I represent science or something like that. Oh my God. No, he did not mean that. Do not believe your lying eyes. Fact check. What?
so next time somebody brings up fact check, be like,
Oh my
just
God.
because it says fact check, why do you trust it? Just say that. Very simple.
Yeah.
Be silent.
No, I usually answer, my knee-jerk answer is like, oh, that settles it. Thanks, Pravda. I literally told the guy, I'm like, you might as well send me Pravda or Izvestia at this point. I'm a former Soviet citizen. You think I'm fucking retarded? Pardon my language?
You got to be like,
oh my God.
dude, that just caught up with me. That's funny.
You know what I told him? I told him there's an expression in Russian, "Не веши лапшу на уши." Don't hang noodles on my ears. Like, don't try to put a fast one on me.
Yeah.
You know,
or,
like
in more modern Russian parlance, не гони.
yeah, не гони. Don't speed.
Right.
Don't push.
Russian slang makes no sense whatsoever.
It does make sense, actually. You know where "не гони" came from? It's a samagon. Don't like create stuff. Don't fabricate. Don't try to ferment something in a bathtub.
Samagon is Russian moonshine.
Yeah. Не гони мне это crap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had some interesting things, I promise.
So
brilliant.
I'll tell you something. The next episode, number 37, okay. I have some kind of a weird, what's called circle the wagons relationship with that number. Let's put it that way.
Circle the wagons.
It's like a number that pops up in my life every so often when there's like some kind of a thing that's about to happen that is kind of maybe significant or life-changing, or maybe, like paradigm shifting in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 37 pops up. It's interesting.
Number 37, I remember from Rabbi Ginsburg's lectures, which related to Yosef.
Interesting. Well, I mean, my birth parsha is Vayigash, so there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What specifically about Yosef, though?
I'm trying to remember, but I have notes. I'm going to review it. I'll try to prepare for your 37th Circle the Wagons episode.
Yes. Here. There's something here. 1 second. No, it doesn't. There's nothing online about that. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
I want to see if the book has it. Book. Come on, man. 39. Okay. No, go straight to 39.
Interesting. Well, obviously.
I want my money back, or I want the missing numbers in this book. All right. Where are the they didn't do it.
Tehillim number 37. LeDavid. Do not compete with the evildoers. Do not envy those who commit injustice. For they will be speedily cut off like grass and wither like green vegetation.
Amen.
Trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and be nourished by faith. So shall you delight in the Lord, and he will give you unto what your heart desires. Commit your way to the Lord and trust him, and he will act. He goes on and on. The evildoers should be cut off. Those who hope for the Lord, they will inherit the land.
I'm going to look up right now the first word in the Torah that has Gematria 37.
Please do that.
Okay. The Trugmans.
Oh. That's right. It's so cool that we have that.
It's an incredible resource. Zion search. Okay, the first
Wait,
word.
in the search box. What do you type in the search box? Just to
Lamed
reset.
Zion.
What?
Lamed Zion.
Oh, I was wondering. I'm like, what am I supposed to type in here?
Okay, so the first word is Vayichyu, and they shall be.
Who shall be?
Okay, so this is in Bereshit, chapter 2, verse 25. Okay, where it says Vayichyu Shenechem Arumim.
Mm-hmm.
So they were naked, both of them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can I read you just two quick things about what's going on in the world related to Jews? Okay. Mayor Adams named 2 Orthodox Jews to key positions: Menashe Shapiro, a campaign advisor, as deputy chief of staff, and Fred Kreisman as commissioner of Community Affairs Unit, where he served as deputy under Bloomberg from 2012 to 2014. The second thing, Yortzei, Hilul of the Baba Sali in Netivot, all police barriers were broken down, like I said, but the police regained control over the event after several minutes. People understand, like, we're in a war against Hamas. Netivot is right next to Hamas, next to Gaza. Clearly, we want the help of the Tzadikim. Clearly. And we're barricading this place. We're barricading Meron. They barricaded Rashbi. They're barricading this. Dude, what's going on? Is it that just Mashiach is coming? That's it? They're barricading all the Tzadikim and it's like Rabbi Kessin says, the window closed and the gates are open, something like that.
That reminded me, what you just said reminded me.
That.
Remember we were talking about making movies after Mashiach comes?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, wait a minute, that's not going to work because you're going to have the actual people come back.
Correct. And play it out.
What are you going to do? Make them play the roles? Like here's
they'll just show you what happened.
Like
in
Spielberg,
the most dramatic way possible.
Be like, Moshe, okay, can you step to the side a little bit? And Moshe's like, no, I was here. He goes, yeah, but it's better for the shot.
Yeah, it's better for the light. Well, I'll make my own light.
And scene.
And see, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Noise.
Try to do that with the Rashbi. You're gonna end up a bag of bones.
Oh, the fire, yeah. It'll light you up. Oh, so, fun times, man.
Dude, Hevel is 37.
What?
Hevel,
really?
Cain and Hevel. Wow.
Really? What? But if you add them two together?
No, Hevel.
Hevel himself.
Yeah.
Interesting. There you go. You saw that on the website, or you just figured that out?
No, I'm scrolling through. Like I put Lamed Zion and just go, look, Bereshit, chapter 4, verse 8, Hevel.
There you go.
Hevel. He is Moshe is a Gilgul of Hevel.
Is he? Interesting.
Yeah. And the Ari. I'm sorry, you broke up. What did you say?
I said, what did I say? Oh my God. Oh, I said not surprising.
And remember the Egyptian, the Mitzri had Moshe killed?
Yeah.
That was a reincarnation or an aspect of Cain's neshama. So there was a rectification there where Cain killed Hevel, and when Moshe killed the Egyptian, that was the balancing of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Candace Owens tweeted out 20 minutes ago. In the end, God wins.
Yeah, we know that.
She's the best. She's the best.
I like her. But I know that God wins in the end. That's never a question. I don't know why people say that. Obviously he wins. He's God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this idiot responds, yeah, for all the unschmacks as they get to meet him sooner, assuming God exists. What is yo.
That's so funny, man.
It's just I don't know what's gonna be. What as we say in Yiddish, what's with Zion? What's gonna be?
Yeah. I just realized I should look up 36. We're still on episode 36. Why am I jumping?
Yeah, look that up.
right? Okay, the first occurrence of 36 is Ele, these. In chapter 2 of Bereshis, verse 4, it says, Ele toldot hashemayim. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
No. These. Vayikra Hashem Elokim El Ha'adam Vayomer Lo Eicha. He said, where are you? Remember when the Eicha is 36. Where are you?
Yeah.
As if to say, do you know where you are? Are you aware of what happened to you?
Well, that's what I was asking. I wasn't asking that. I was asking, where are these guys?
You know what's amazing?
Mm.
The 36 is also the gematria of Ohel.
Cool.
I wrote a
know
letter. I didn't know that either. I wrote a letter to the Ohel today.
Mm. Nice.
It's also the gematria of the word Heitiv. Avram, Heitiv, Valvora, that's in Bereshis chapter 12, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
The word Heitiv means is goodness, right? Like goodliness.
Yeah.
Where things were going well. It was made to be good.
Yeah.
Also the word Beyodecha, in your hand.
Yeah.
And also the word halo, right? Isn't it halo means, is it not, right? That's a question, right?
I'm not sure.
Hey lamed aleph, like, is it not so? Is it not the case? That, something like that.
Hold on. Yeah. I'm not sure. Is that's Hebrew or Aramaic?
It's Hebrew.
Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Wow. Leah. Leah's 36.
Yes.
Our mama, she's 36.
That's funny.
Actually, we're I think we're equally like Jewish people. We're both from Leah and from Rachel, because the Jews of today are 100% of the tribe of Yehuda, so that's from Leah, and 100% of the tribe of Binyamin, that's from Rachel.
Yeah. Well, it's coming now. There you go. Government data reveals over 946,000 people's Schmufford Schmingeries or Schmeth from Schmovid Vax. But of course, this is reported by One America. I mean, you know,
hundreds of thousands of.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This is the crazy.
We should play. You know, what we should play. We should play that TED talk. Dude, I think I interrupted you because you broke up. What were you saying?
I know. I said by who you want to play TED talk.
Oh, by Bill Gates. You know, the one where he says, "Oh, you got to phase people out to get carbon neutral."
He says it in those words.
No, he points to a formula on the projector on one of the slides, right? Where on one side, if I remember correctly, on one side of the slide, there's you have a formula with an equal sign in the middle, right? On the right side, I think it says CN, carbon neutral.
Hold on.
Right? And on the left side, you have two values, and one of them is P.
Is it a TED talk or is it one of his things from his channel? Or what is it? Innovating to Zero? Is this?
I think it's a TED talk.
Hold on. There we go. TED talk on CN2 and population. There we go. A minute and a half. Let's listen.
You want to play it? Let's hear it.
I'll play it. It's a minute and a half long. Whatever. I'm happy.
I'm going to talk today about energy and climate. And that might seem a bit surprising because my full-time work at the foundation is mostly about vaccines and seeds.
2010.
We need to
vaccine and seeds.
And that constraint has to do with CO2. CO2 is warming the planet. And the equation on CO2 is actually a very straightforward one. If you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. First, we've got population.
Yeah.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
What is vaccine? Can I ask you a question? What does vaccines have to do with population?
Exactly. He's literally saying it in your face. I don't mean you, Greg. I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah.
Right? And then, by the way, when he said one of these is going to have to, come down to zero, right? Where he was pointing to the P, right? And the audience was laughing, by the way.
Can someone answer the question? No, I don't understand. Am I missing something?
No, you're not.
Reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's it. I'm missing something.
Seeds and vaccines. A nerd who is selling you software, operating systems that have viruses installed in them, and then sells you the stuff to get rid of the virus.
Antivirus.
Is now involved in seeds.
Yeah.
And schmaxines. What?
This guy is not well, man. This dude ain't well. He needs to be. You want to talk about? They just committed this dude. Where was this in Canada? A doctor who exposed there was women who had issues in hospitals with babies that they took whatever, and he was exposing this pattern that was going on in his hospital. They just locked this guy up in a psichushka. I think Schmates should be sent to that place.
Dude, we shouldn't even talk about what should be with Schmates, because I don't want to see it. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's not going to be
conspiracy theory.
It's not going to be better than what he has made people experience, to the suffering that he's caused in this world. That whatever happens to him, it's not going to be any easier than that. Let's just.
What can you say? What can you say? People,
Rabbi Friedman, he talks often about people asking questions. So he's going to make, what happens to the soul when it leaves the body, right? Where does it go? What happens to the soul of this kind of person, that kind of person?
Yeah.
And so do they burn in hell for all eternity? That's a question. That is a question that Christians ask him all the time, right? So he's saying that we don't have a concept of eternal suffering, because that's just, that's the opposite of goodness. But for suffering to exist, for evil to exist for eternity, that is the opposite of God's plan. We don't have that concept of evil or suffering going on for eternity. So we have people who, they go to Gehenna, which is compared to a washing machine, okay?
Yeah.
But some people, maybe a handful, literally a handful of people, they don't go anywhere. They are destroyed. They don't have a soul anymore. Their consciousness is over. People like Stalin, people like Lenin, people like Hitler, and then people like Gates.
Yeah.
He has no future.
Yeah. I know.
It doesn't seem like he thinks he has one either, right? Unless he's unless he's part of the Fool Society, the Nazi occult.
Yeah.
Secret society, the Fools.
I'll tell you, the good thing is some of my friends are waking up a little bit already. They're waking up. That's true. They're waking up. They're starting to understand what's going on. I showed them the Brazilian guy, the 36-year-old Brazilian guy. A week ago, he made a tweet about, Baruch Hashem for the third jab, shmab. He went into cardiac arrest 5 times on the way to the hospital. 36-year-old guy. What he's fat. He eats too many eggs. What's going on with him?
He didn't have enough vax.
He
That's
smoked
the
too much
problem.
weed. Yeah, he didn't have enough eggs. He had Shmovid. What? Shmovid gave him that, right? 5 cardiac arrests.
Yeah, you're supposed to have
Oh,
4.
look at this. The presenter also commented on the fake news that ran on social media about possible reaction of the 3rd dose of Shmovid. Many people doing politics about vaccination said he had the sudden illness because of the 3rd dose. According to experts, it's already been discarded. The suspicion, according to the doctor who was attending him, is that Raphael has a congenital heart disease. The suspicion is that he was born with this heart problem, but no one knows and no one had identified. From now on,
That's literally what they said. Remember,
he is having all the service in the world, he concluded.
Dude, remember I told you the story the first time when I started talking to Schmaxine victims?
Yeah.
Where the guy from Buffalo called me and said that he has 2 cousins who are his age, and they were they were early 40s, athletic, outdoors people, never got sick ever. The first one took the Schmaxine, dead 3 days later, and they said, oh, he had a congenital heart defect.
What? Are you freaking?
The other one, the older brother, remember his 2 cousins, right? The older brother of the one who died took 2 weeks later, took the Schmaxine at a different facility, dead 3 days later.
I tell these people all the time, you want to live in your cozy little reality, your vortex, where these things can be, you need to go on explaining them away so that your realm stays together.
Can I tell you something?
You know what I mean? So that their Jenga, what is it? Not statue, their Jenga pieces don't collapse.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I interrupted you.
No.
So I'm looking at this. You mentioned it kind of in passing yesterday. It says that Machron, right? Machron.
Oh, that's freaking guy.
Machron. He vows to peace off. That's how probably says.
Yeah,
I will
piss off. Piss off.
On the unschmaxed. He says.
Uh-huh.
I've already heard this before. Someone who refuses a COVID schmaxine is not a citizen. It begins. So I think it's awesome that that my brother made the statement that he made about people who are becoming a different species, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know why? Because this isn't a headline, but these guys have been saying stuff like this for a year.
Yeah.
Right? The people who are not schmacks, they're not citizens, they don't deserve, they're lower species, they're harmful, they're trying to kill us. They've been saying all that stuff about the unschmaxed for a long time now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then your brother comes out and says about them, ooh.
Okay. Except the other difference is that what my brother's saying happens to be the truth.
Yeah. No, it's like you can dish it out, they can't take it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, that's their MO. The MO is they dish out, they don't take.
Yeah. You know what this lady told me? No, I brought this to her. She goes, yeah, because they're the reason that the thing keeps going. I said, no, they're not the reason the thing keeps going. And he's like, yeah, and they should also, people show. And I said, what are other schmacks where you have people basically being coerced into? There's no other schmacks like this where people are coerced into taking it, and where the people who took it are afraid to be next to the people who didn't take it. Sitting at work together or wherever they are. And she's getting into like, oh well, kids in school. I'm like, okay, kids in school. I said, kids are walking disease carriers. Like, I mean, not COVID, but other things. They have germs. Like, other than kids, who else is, required? No one. At the point of a gun, no one. Yeah, some workers. She gets because people are. I think everybody should be taking it, but that's people. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, there's coercion. Schmuck. These people, I'm telling you, some of them are just, they're not bright. Actually, I just spent an hour talking to back and forth just to see, like, maybe I can get through to one. There's like 4 people, there was like a whole 4-pronged thing going on. And I'm talking, it's like Dr. Evil. I'm surrounded by idiots.
Dude, there are people.
Holy shit.
There are people who are now in concentration camps in Australia.
I know.
And no one is saying anything. No one. It seems to be accepted.
Yeah.
Right. It seems exactly that exception, right, of people being okay with other people being put into concentration camps is exactly
That's misinformation. Like,
no, but that's exactly how right now that what's the word? It's escaping me right now. That indifference, that apathy that you have is exactly the same apathy that Germans had and Western Europe had when Jews were being.
for sure. But these are Jewish people I'm talking to. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right? They don't understand that not everybody was aware that you had these the crematoriums and the gas chambers. Most people are just like, hey, they're put into camps. Let them be there.
Yeah.
That's exactly how people feel right now about the unschmacked in these camps. That's what it's repeating. I thought I thought it'd be important for us to mention that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's on that positive note, I'm going to go.
Sorry, I brought this in. Whatever.
No.
Okay.
Listen. I contributed my positivity as well. With the concentration camp's always a great topic on a first date.
Yeah.
All right, so all right, man. Till
Been real.
episode 37.
Zat Hashem. And keep hope alive. That's all I gotta say. My God. Well, hopefully next week we'll get some sort of splitting of some kind of seas in some way, shape, or form. Even if Pharaoh chases us, and even if the Amalekites attack us afterwards, after the whole thing. Hopefully,
I in my letter, I shouldn't share it like too much, but I did ask the Rebbe for some clarity on how, the things that we've been talking about, how that fits into the to Mashiach process, and what's I'm not going to say specifically, but some of the stuff, the marshmallow man, how does that fit into?
Yeah.
I didn't say those. Obviously, I'm not going to say.
I know. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it would sound ridiculous running to him.
I mean, he would get it.
Yeah.
Because he's awesome and has a great sense of humor, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Probably hasn't seen the Ghostbusters, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes.
And all right, with that, I'm gonna go do something useful.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go let my cat in because he's probably freezing.
Yeah, do that.
All right.
Cage that animal. Contain your animal.
That's right. All right.
All right,
Sure. Talk to you soon.
peace.
All right.